this into this.
Hey guys, it's Mark and I'm here to make your money work for you. Today I'm going to talk about what banks deem as the safest investment for a normal person. I'm not talking about million-dollar operations. I'm just talking normal people like you and I. So for the example I'm going to use, you have $100,000 that you plan on investing. Okay? So option one, $100,000 you're going to put it in a small business. Okay? So let's just say that the bank loans you $100,000. So you have a total of $200,000. Long story short, you've bought yourself a job, okay? You are going to have to work this in order for it to work. Now let's just say that option number one gives you 10% ROI, return on investment per year. At the end of 5 years, you will have doubled your investment of $100,000, okay? Now, I want to point something out with option 1 and 2 though. If you go to the bank today and you say, hey listen, I have $100,000 and I'd like to borrow another $100,000 because I found this small business opportunity, see what they're going to say to you. Because the bank is not going to jump to lend you $100,000 for a small business, okay? If you're running some big corporation and all the numbers work, sure, they're a lot more apt to lend you the money. But something like this, I'm being generous by saying they're lending you $1 for $1, okay? Option number 2, we're going to do stocks, mutual funds, and RSPs. Now when you're at the bank and you have money in your bank account, they're always going to pitch you on this. Hey, you should really top up your mutual funds. You know, it's coming up to the end of the year. You should top up your RSP so you get your tax write-off. I'm going to tell you, unless you're making at least $250,000 a year, you should not be buying RSPs because the tax that you're getting, the tax break, really is nothing. You've tied your money up at very dismal interest rates, okay? So again, $100,000, we're going to talk stocks, mutual funds, RSPs. Let's say again the bank lends you $100,000. You got $200,000 in total, okay? So if you make 10% per year return on investment, which you show me where the bank is paying you 10%, because if you can show me 5 years in a row where the bank's paying you 10%, I will say I'm sorry, I'm wrong, you're right. But let's just be generous again, okay? So at the end of the 5 years, you're going to have doubled your money. So $100,000 turns into $200,000, okay? But again, you're relying on the bank to lend you $100,000. They typically go into the bank and say, hey look, I found this amazing stock and I want to borrow $100,000. Or you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Banker, you told me about mutual funds, I think it's a great idea, I've got $100,000, will you lend me another $100,000? They're not going to jump on this investment opportunity because the stock market, if you don't know what you're doing, it's up and down. Sure, there are people who have a good idea and they understand it, but for normal people, stocks, they're just too risky, okay? You're making 3 or 4%. When you factor in inflation at 2%, what are you really making, okay? We're talking about long term. So for 5 years, you've turned 100 into 200, but what if it's only 4%? Then you're making a lot less money. Now, this is the secret to wealth. If you look at most real investors, they have money tied up in real estate, okay? So I already gave it away. Option number 3 is real estate, okay? So if you have $100,000, the bank will gladly, with a smile on their face, lend you the other $400,000. So that right there tells you, what does the bank deem as a safe investment? Where they're willing to lend out $400,000, no problem whatsoever, or they're barely going to lend you $100,000. Think about that, okay? So to double your initial investment, you actually only need 4% appreciation per year. In the City of London, from November 2018 to October 2019, London had an 8.7% increase. I told you need 4%. 8.7% is $43,500. So on your $100,000 investment in 1 year, you made 43.5%. You show me where you're getting these kind of returns. And let's just pretend that never happened. You still only need 4%. Look at the City of London, look at St. Thomas. it's pretty safe to say that London and St. Thomas are going to appreciate at 4% per year. And you say, well, you know, the recession might be coming and this and that. We are still a major city, one of the top 10 major cities in the country, maybe 11 depending on which statistic you look at. And we're still at least 100,000 under the national average. If the train runs from Windsor to London to Toronto, you can bet that property values are going to skyrocket. CMHC is predicting for 2020 a 5 to 10% increase. So let's just go with in the middle and say 7% on $500,000, that's $35,000 in your pocket. How long do you have to work to make $35,000? That is not a little amount of money. As well, I'm not factoring in your tax write-offs, because if you need to have a cell phone, you need to have a car, you need to have car insurance, you need to have an office to be able to manage the books. I'm not factoring in cash flow. Let's say you're even making $100 a month. That's still $100 a month in your pocket. And I'm not factoring in the mortgage pay down. So every year it's safe to say you're going to pay off $3,000 to $5,000. So in 5 years, if you only make 4%, you've doubled your money, plus you're paying off, let's just say $4,000 a year, that's another $20,000. So this is the clear-cut choice. And again, I mean, when you look, and again, I'm being generous when I talk about stocks and small businesses, it is $1 to $1. So for every dollar you have, the bank is going to lend you $1 if they lend you that. I doubt it, but I'm being generous on this. Real estate, for every dollar you have, the bank is going to lend you $4. So the banks are saying that real estate as an investment is 4 times safer than stocks or small businesses. So where's your money? Is it really working for you? If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd love to explain this in further depth. I am going to create a double up package in the next video so that you can see how to use this to just keep growing. If you like what you've seen, hit like and subscribe and follow. I will be putting out a video every single week. Thank you so much for watching.